A bumbling thief gets trapped in a smart house with no way out. The movie opens with a sweeping view of downtown, filled with towering skyscrapers. The camera then moves into a penthouse perched atop one of the high-rises. The interior looks pristine and untouched, as if nobody actually lives there. Over the city, the rhythmic thrum of helicopter blades fills the air, accompanied by fragments of radio chatter. When the countdown hits 0, Nemo, a skilled burglar, lands on the rooftop. Cutting through the protective netting, he slips inside and swiftly disables the security system via the terminal. With only 7 minutes on the clock, he dives into ransacking the apartment for luxury items and art. But mid-heist, things take an unexpected turn. The thief can't find the self-portrait by Egon Schiele, the famed Austrian artist. After consulting with his partner over the radio, Nemo heads to the video installation, but the masterpiece isn't there either. Deciding that stolen treasures in hand are better than hidden ones, he prepares to leave with what he's already taken. However, a glitch in the security system, or perhaps a wrong code, triggers the alarm, cutting Nemo off from the exit. Nemo's partner washes his hands of the situation, not wanting to get caught. In a panic, the burglar tries smashing the glass door as the siren blares, but it's as unyielding as Bruce Willis's toughest foe. Next, he attempts to hack the terminal, but that fails too. Agitated by the relentless wailing, he systematically destroys the flickering lights, plugs his ears, and hunts for the speakers to end the auditory torture. After some effort, he finally succeeds, but the unspoken question lingers: where's the police? Wandering through the sprawling apartment, Nemo admires the lavish decor until he stumbles upon an ornate door. Using a pocket knife he had on him, he starts trying to break it down. It's a slow and tedious process, but progress is made. Meanwhile, what's left of the house's digital brain kicks on the heating system. Parched, Nemo heads to the faucet, but after a few drops, the water stops flowing. As he checks the fridge, the voice of the virtual assistant chimes in, reminding him that supplies are running low and need to be restocked. Tired of struggling with the locked door, Nemo takes a break on the couch, trying to contact his partner over the radio. With no response, he rummages through the fridge and pulls out vodka, moldy cookies, and some black caviar. He snacks on his findings while sitting in front of a glitching TV, which is not only connected to cable channels, but also to the surveillance system. On one of the screens, Nemo spots a security guard. After spending the night in the master bedroom, he wakes up to the distant rumble of a helicopter. Hoping the helicopter means someone has come for him, Nemo rushes to the glass door and notices a pigeon trapped on the net-covered terrace. After washing up in a makeshift pond in the greenhouse, he tries to reach his partner on the radio, then attempts a phone call, only to find it disconnected. The computer is also offline, its owner having left for a business trip to Kazakhstan to oversee the construction of a tower. Nemo spices up his captivity with thrilling activities, like using the bathroom and marveling at the moldy oranges. Using the citrus fruits, Nemo tries to shatter the glass, but as expected, it doesn't work. He then notices a skylight in the ceiling that might be opened or broken. Gathering furniture, he constructs his own Tower of Babel, assembling it silently to avoid tempting fate or encouraging madness. During a break while washing up, inspiration strikes. Among the plants in the greenhouse, he discovers a buried garden hose. But, like the rest of the water system, it's completely useless. To quench his thirst, Nemo is forced to suck on some ice from the fridge. Disassembling a chair, he reinforces the fabric to create a makeshift structure he hopes to climb. Soon, he bravely, like a climber, scales the peak of his unstable creation. But he's just shy of reaching the window, so he has no choice but to climb back down and consult the sleeping architect inside him, sketching out a new plan for his tower. During the process, the smart house activates the surveillance feed, and Nemo sees the maid eating lunch on the stairs. Once she finishes and leaves, the frustrated man approaches the broken control panel, attempting to set the thermostat to a cooler temperature. But temperature control is just one of his problems. Food is running out, and his attempt to open a can without a can opener ends with a cut on his hand. Later, Nemo is forced to seek refuge from the heat and thirst in the open fridge, all while the lively rhythm of the Macarena plays, automatically triggered by the house as a reminder that the door has been left open too long. By nightfall, he finally manages to open a can and eat, noticing the pigeon on the veranda hiding under a tree from the rain, still unable to find its way out of the net trap. The next day, using a piece of art as a chisel, he opens the freezer where the supplies are stored, meat and dog food cans. Just then, he hears the sound of running water. The sprinkler in the greenhouse turns on automatically. Nemo rushes to it, eager to drink while he has the chance, and lounges under the makeshift shower. The penthouse penthouse prisoner continues his search for an escape, ripping down curtains and flipping over beds. Every piece of material goes into reinforcing his makeshift tower, which still wobbles like a drunken sailor in a storm. Yet, despite this, Nemo manages to reach the skylight, which at first glance seems just as solid as the walls. Struggling with the heat at night, he sketches in his notebook and watches the maid, Jasmine, through the security cameras. He notices that she's just on the other side of the front door, but she doesn't react to the noise as she's listening to music through her headphones. Watching as the girl leaves and takes the elevator down, Nemo immediately notices that the smart house has switched the climate control to a cooler setting. The protagonist relishes the cool air, but remains cautious, knowing that with the broken system, anything could happen. The next morning, the sprinkler fills the bowls that Nemo had thoughtfully left behind. He carefully pours the harvest into a bottle, hoping it will last a little longer. Once the thirst issue is settled, even the incessant Macarena isn't as annoying. Feeling recharged, Nemo begins searching the still unexplored rooms of the spacious apartment. In one of the rooms, Nemo finds a glass vase and breaks it to make protective glasses out of rags. With his eyes thus protected, the hero climbs up the tower and begins smashing the window frame. The next day, Nemo talks to himself while preparing food, trying to chase away the silent loneliness that weighs on his mind with the uncomfortable feeling of hopelessness. After lunch, he watches the local workers through the cameras, chatting with them as if they were old friends. During this, he sees Jasmine talking to some guy. As he works on the window frame, he reaches a stubborn metal bolt that he has no way of unscrewing. In the evening, Nemo eases his mind by peering through a telescope at the sprawling city, just beyond the impenetrable glass. As the temperature gradually drops, the thief attempts to fix the control terminal, but it proves just as fruitless as all his other efforts. In the changed conditions, he is forced to sleep wrapped in several blankets. The days drag on in a monotonous cycle of hammering at the window frame and watching the staff of the building through the cameras. Dying of boredom and loneliness, Nemo even strikes up conversations with a pigeon trapped on the other side of the glass. He asks the bird to fly to the park for help, but the feathered creature can't seem to find the hole it flew in through. For fun, Nemo starts editing the paintings on the wall in a 5th grade style, adding glasses and horns to the people depicted. Later, after breaking into the wardrobe, the hero discovers a secret alcove behind the wall. Inside, he finds the hidden self-portrait by Sheila, as well as a rubber doll belonging to the homeowner. As though it had been buried here with a book on its chest, the book turns out to be a copy of The Marriage of Heaven and Hell by the English poet William Blake, likely designed by the author himself. After retrieving the hidden rarities, Nemo returns to the apartment where he spots the dead pigeon, his fellow prisoner in misfortune. Later that evening, he sees Jasmine resting outside the door, but all the noise he makes fails to penetrate the thick barrier. Unable to get her attention, he resigns himself to sleep. In his dream, he finds himself at an exhibition organized by the apartment's owner. The host greets him like an old friend. They discuss Sheila's paintings, but Nemo's attention drifts when he spots Jasmine among the guests, while the other attendees remain faceless figures, their features hidden in the darkness. As the host continues his monologue about Fatum, Nemo walks further and further away, eventually climbing a glowing staircase that leads him straight to the awakening in the cursed penthouse. When morning breaks, Nemo smashes a chair and carefully carves a makeshift wrench from its leg, hoping to unscrew the bolt holding the glass in place. The plan inevitably fails, and the iron simply breaks the wooden tool. Overcome with hopelessness, hunger, and a deep moral dissatisfaction, the prisoner fishes a small fish from the aquarium to eat it. With nothing else to occupy his time, he starts drawing on the concrete walls with charcoal and telling himself jokes. When that loses its charm, he carves a more refined key, and this time, the bolt gives way. Before the tool breaks, Nemo manages to unscrew a few fastenings, bringing him closer to the long-awaited freedom. As time passes, the legs of the chairs dwindle, so does his food supply, and the black and white picture he's painting on the wall grows more expansive. The thief, who voluntarily entered this prison, also creates a handmade altar, placing each unscrewed bolt upon it, symbolizing his relentless effort and his journey toward liberation. Together with the drawing on the wall, they form a unified composition. After a while, the climate control system switches back to heating, bringing the oppressive warmth. Nemo gradually destroys the fragile ecosystem, forced to use the dried-up pool as a toilet. The plumbing doesn't work due to the lack of water. Overcome by the ongoing hopelessness, he engages in throat singing, donning a strange costume he found. The numbing monotony of his days causes him to lose his vigilance. After unscrewing yet another bolt from the window, he suddenly loses his balance and tumbles down from the tower, like the Green Goblin after his battle with Spider-Man. The fall results in a broken leg, And all of this happens when only 2 more bolts stood between him and freedom. As he finishes off the remaining supplies, the injured Nemo watches as vibrant, colorful flowers bloom outside the window. Turning his head, he sees Jasmine. The girl, dressed in uniform, stands next to the TV, as though she has stepped out from the screen. Jasmine approaches him and sits down beside him. Her lips freeze in a tense, almost intimate proximity to Nemo's face. Again and again, but she never touches him. The reason for such a pretentious, platonic interaction is simple and banal. The guest is merely a figment of the hero's imagination. After fashioning a makeshift splint, Nemo waits for his leg to fully heal. When he stands before a mirror, the owner suddenly appears behind him. The old man slams Nemo's head into the sink, but when he regains consciousness on the floor, his face covered in blood, he realizes that this too was another solo performance of his fractured mind. However, lying down, his sharp eye suddenly spots the fire alarm sensors on the ceiling. Nemo tears magazines into thin strips before reaching for a magnifying glass. The laws of physics, the sun, and the distorted lens allow him to repeat the feat of early humans and create fire. The thief makes a torch and holds it up to the sensor. Immediately, the fire suppression system kicks in. Water pours relentlessly, but for some reason, no one rushes to help. The only casualty, perhaps, is the television, which gives up the ghost under the moisture. The flood lasts long enough to become tiresome, but not long enough to be called a great disaster. Realizing he is such a unique creature that he has no equal, Nemo swims aimlessly in the dark. In the next scene, snow begins to fall outside the window, covering everything with a clean, fluffy blanket. Nemo dictates a voiceover, a message, a note he wants to leave behind. Outside the window, he imagines the owner's daughter with a dog, whose portrait hung on the wall of one of the rooms. Limping, the hero approaches the handmade altar, where the unscrewed bolts are carefully gathered. He bows to his creation, humming the same line, then writes a message on the wall to the apartment's owner, apologizing for everything that happened and informing him that he saved 3 pieces of art from the flooding. Nemo slowly begins his ascent up the mountain. Glass falls in the frame, no longer restrained by bolts, and the camera wanders through the cluttered apartment of the thief before it settles on the handmade Golgotha, illuminated by light streaming in from the window, the hill on which the petty criminal died, only to be reborn as a finely attuned artist. This is where the film and Nemo's confinement comes to an end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, like, comment, and subscribe for more. What's your take on Nemo's journey and Inside? Let me know below. See you next time.